Hello. Saturday the 16th, 8:45 p.m. I feel strangely relaxed, believe it or not. It's kind of nice. It's kind of a weird space for me. This is another entry that's not really for me, it's for you. Or I guess they're all for me in some way, but it's not primarily, it's not only for me. On one hand, I don't feel like talking. On the other hand, like, you have got to have questions. I can feel them. You know what I mean? And if I sense that in someone, a mystery of any kind, a thread dangling, like, I'm compelled with great happiness to weave it back into place. I can't make sense of that myself. I don't even think to question it. It's just like breathing to me. So who am I really, right? Well, my name's Jim Henning. I'm still 40 years old, right? And I don't lie. I don't like to lie. I was going to open this by saying, like, I can't lie, but because of that, you know. I don't know if that's really true. I could probably learn to do it, but in the same way that I previously told you that, like, the idea of inflicting violence on someone has always, like, hurt me, you know. And I'm not the only person like that. I know some very gentle people. Lying, I feel the same way too, which is kind of, it's tricky because it's much easier. Well, what am I trying to say? Lying, deception occurs so much more frequently than violence, you know? It's almost like they're intertwined, like one will lead to the other. That's, I don't really have a chain of logic for that. That's just like a poetic thing. So, here's my story, I guess. I figured you would know it by now, but it hasn't really been compiled, I guess. I've told it, I feel like I've told it over and over to people. The same way every time, because I don't lie, right? And I feel like I wanted to tell it even more times than, you know, when I was just shunned, told to be quiet or not interested, or told to think about something else. It's unremarkable. I'll probably have to tell this story many times. You know what I mean? To, like, decompress it or, like, unpack it for myself as much as you, but, like, should you even be interested, you know, this is kind of as much for posterity as anything else. But, you know, it's just a story, dude. The Michael Sugar, one of my favorite lecturers, for the great courses. The Marcus Aurelius guy. He's great. Check him out. Here's the natural condition of human beings. They're born, a bunch of stuff happens to them, and they die. So what? You know? That does not belittle the subjective experience of life. That's yours. And it's as valuable as it is valuable to you. That's great. But this isn't a manifesto. This isn't a flag I'm planting in a rock. This isn't my lightning rod. Although I do feel that way sometimes, you know, rhetorically or romantically. This is no more or less important than anyone else's story, but it's mine, and I have it to tell, and I feel better every time I tell it. Every time it's like understood. It's like out of me. It's over. It's finalized. I can move on and be something else. You know. So let's just go through it as quickly as I can. An outline. Unremarkable. The more absurd details that lead into like strange life subplots, which is the nature of life, which are not conducive to a good story arc or whatever, will be omitted. Like, they're so absurd that I would not entertain them from another person, you know. Believe me. But I'm like revolted at the reality of my objective experience over the last 5 years. So I have to like accept that. It's a strange lesson in humility, and one I'm grateful for, but I just don't know how to cope with that. If I seem righteous, you know, it's in combat, for lack of a better word. I don't bring that here. This is the table. This is the table this is as close to the table I always wanted to sit at as I can get tonight. And I am happy to have this rather than nothing. So what? That was a preamble, 5 minutes. Let's get to it. I lived with my parents until I was about 35, right? By parents, I mean my father and my brother. We're a very close-knit family. Sometimes we're at each other's throats, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a more tight-knit trio of father and sons. We know each other deeply, and we love each other. So there's that. That said, like, we lived together until the housing market just made it impossible for us to live together anymore. So this was 2016. The abridged version. I've always loved San Francisco because it's always been the most beautiful city. You know, the builders that made it the most beautiful city, I've always admired. Ironically, as of this moment, I think in the future it's fine. That's neither here nor there, right? It's like little pieces of perfection live here, and it's nice just to be a part of it, to have that. Something about the air, something about the sky, the people, their values. I love this city, although it's not that far from home. So I'm still kind of a rube, right? I'm fine with that. I move up here to do gig work. I live in a car. I work hard. Very can do. I work all I can work. I go every extra mile. Like I'm like a randist, you know? Like not I'm not I wouldn't get along with the objectivist society people or whatever. I'm not like that blockheaded about it, but I believe in work, you know? I believe in value. It's value. Like for a long time. So I came up and I exemplified those with like a do or die, no holds barred. Um, if there's a problem, I will fix it. I will leave no. Um, I will contribute as much as I possibly can. I will expect, um, not entitled expect, but like I will bet on, you know, egalitarian recognition of that and be utilized as an asset. To maximize and hedge my bet, I also continued going to community college in Santa Cruz County and commuting back and forth. So I'm either going to become an awesome, successful caviar courier, which is the company I delivered for, and then get like a suit and tie job, even if it was super entry level, which would have been fine for me, and instantly have like the income that would get me a place and like a happy life for the first time. Like a non-eatable nightmare life. That was my primary objective, to escape the edible nightmare. Okay? Which was not in the common zeitgeist at the time. So it's not like you can explain that. Failing that, I would have completed my AA at community college and then transferred to, I don't know, a branch of the UC. Foolproof plan. Simple. All I had to do was endure it and complete my tasks and like be of good cheer. And I was. It was super stressful. I kind of just sacrificed personal well-being, as you're supposed to or whatever. I thought that's how it's done, right? Captains of industry, right? I was really proud to have that adventure. And moreover, I was proud to be seen succeeding at it, as people more or less whose paths I would cross intimated to me. I couldn't have been happier. I got a place, the cheapest place I could possibly find, and well, the infrastructure of my life was not as stable as I thought it would be. This The social bedrock of this city at the lower level is not stable, it's not conducive to the kind of productivity that I wanted to achieve. I didn't realize this. This is an error. I don't want to say it was a moral error, but it was just I didn't have the information. I would have done it differently had I known. So I essentially invested, how do I put this in a way that's succinct? I don't want to tell the whole story. I couldn't maintain my car when I needed to. I couldn't pay the parking tickets I needed to. I could not, depended on the whims, the emotional capriciousness of other people for housing security. Money wasn't enough. Like, they needed a little extra. Do you know what I mean? Which I did not see coming. I wouldn't have thought that in a million years, but that was the reality of it. And I was helpless. I couldn't do anything. So that cascaded into a cycle of damage control where I'm perpetually, well, that happened for, I don't know, another year. I stopped delivering with my car because I couldn't fix it. I started renting scoots around town. You remember those things, the electric scooters? They were too expensive and unavailable. The unavailable part was the problem. Coupled with the fact that the orders from Caviar, this is nitty gritty. I love Caviar, but I wanted more orders. Not necessarily more money, but like I had dead time. And I had anticipated, if like suit and tie job aside, if nothing else, if I demonstrated I was a reliable courier, then I would have non-stop work. You know, order to order to order to order, which more or less happened, but like I wanted it all the time, you know. That was a mistake. I bet on the frequency of orders increasing, and I projected my life based on the amount of money I would earn from that. I made a bet, like and I lost. It was that simple. Right. But I didn't let go because I had established such a reputation or image that to quit, I wouldn't let well, I thought we could take the whole market. And if I quit, then I felt like other people would quit too. And like I felt I had this like emotional attachment to my team. You know, you're working all the time, so you don't have friends. You develop connections where you can. Anyway, they seem like fun people. I like them. I never saw their face. Some of this is one of the side legs. Put a pin in that. So so what? So I got hit. I was busting my ass. You have to bust ass on an electric scooter to deliver, right? And everyone is busting ass. And I don't know, sometime October, some years ago, I think it was it 2017? I don't remember what year it was now. I could check. I got creamed by a Uber making a left-hand turn at like 16th and Valencia or something like that. I forget the intersection, but it was one of those shit intersections in the Mission. Wham, right? I don't sue people. This guy was like kind of a semi-fresh off the boat, dark-skinned person. Like, I wasn't going to take a bite. That would have been his game over, right? So what, I'm going to just pawn my game over on someone else. You like a hot potato, you know, like that's dishonorable. I don't think I've ever done anything like that. Certainly not at this scale, you know. I don't know. I'm just not that kind of person. So I let it go. I don't have insurance or anything like that. I don't have medical insurance. I went to the free clinic. They at least looked at my hand for me. They were super nice. Free clinics are no joke. Those are important, you guys. Um, so yeah, I'm not gonna ruin this guy's life. I really wish the culture, the driving culture, the hustle culture, whatever you want to call it, wasn't so ape shit in this fucking city. It could work. I love the gig. I do, but I don't know. I just needed a voice. And I was down for the count so far. So I walked my ass home. And I was like out for a year by that time. Like, I didn't really have enough money for food for like a long time. After that, I hadn't been eating great before, although ironically I deliver food for a living, you know. Um, and now just I didn't even have an income, and I just didn't. I cared, but like I just fucking put a blanket over my head and dreamt and watched TV. Started making things like this that you've never seen. And just kind of living. The current picture was so grim, like the immediate implications of what my life was going to turn out to be, especially compared to what I wanted it to be, you know. Not ideally, but like, you know, the plan I thought was reasonable and admirable. Like the implications of what was actually going to come out of that immediately, and how little anyone around me gave a fuck about it. Moreover, kind of like rid me, like you get, that's what you get, you know, you deserve that. Believe it or not, that's like the vibe. Which I never thought I deserved, but I don't. Why would you bicker with someone about that? I just went into this space that, like, I didn't want to think about any of that, and I just wanted to think about the bigger picture of life, the whole world, like the grateful beauty of actually being alive, you know, what the universe, the scale of, like, whatever it is. I don't mean to be flippant, but it's a tangent. Um, to like have perspective, you know. And this wasn't the first time. Like I'm not new to this, but like I'd never been so desperate. I've never been in so much need of such perspective, essentially, like relief, practical release, not rhetorical relief, but like I had to really ask myself, like, do you want to keep being alive, you know? And then I would like rationally weigh that decision, right? And when I would have to take existentiality into play, like the raw reality of it and the massiveness of it, like instantly you're like, of course, how could you not appreciate this? The beauty of the structure of everything is so much more potent then a transitory discretion. Is it discretion? No, it's transgression. Thank you. Sorry. Or transitory discretion, transgression. Or you know what I mean, right? It wasn't a tough guy move. It wasn't force your way through. It was just like reality check. What actually matters? What is most real in this world? This conundrum, or like just the basic things like that you depend on to live, to be nourished by, sunlight and water and sky and gravity and form, opacity. All these beautiful abstractions, which may seem silly to consider for, you may be unfamiliar with the beauty of them. Perpendicularity, concavity, convexness, invagination, like there's a million forms that I've been fascinated by. Not obsessed with, but like appreciative of. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just thinking about that stuff. I had to think about that stuff I did. I could have used some love. Like everyone wanted to, he's not doing well, They just started giving me the red flag treatment, Have you ever gotten that from someone? I just needed like a body, I don't mean just a body, but like someone. I would just think about having someone. So that's very sweet, that's true. And just knowing that kind of helped. So anyway, that went on for, I was fucked now. Now I hadn't been making money. Now it's fucking game over city. I don't know what I'm gonna do. My neighbor got me a job at Trader Joe's, which I was super grateful for, but I was just not in the place to work as hard as you need to work at Trader Joe's. Like, I couldn't, something in me refused. Like, flat out refused. I don't know if it was retail, I don't know what it was. It's not that I don't like TJ's. It's not that I didn't like the people. The people there were awesome. The customers are freaking hilarious and fun. It's a great place. I recommend it. But I fucking died inside there. Like, I needed to be somewhere else, and I couldn't even express that. And so I was like that guy for like 9 months. You know what I mean? There's times when I just, it's weird to like efficiently work a cash register when you really just don't want to work a cash register. And like that, and then to have a work ethic that tells you that you're a piece of shit for feeling that way, and then to work harder because of it, and to make that drive you more fucking emotionally. I couldn't take it one day. One day I finally snapped. I like wanted nourishment. I wanted to talk about something substantive. And in the break room, like the shitty break room, I gave this little lecture on the history of the Protestant schisms to like a bunch of state students. I'm like, do you guys not know this? I forget what brought it up. I think I was trying to explain how the Catholic Church was like a surrogate empire for Rome. It just blows me away Like, I'm not being critical of that either. I'm saying, like, how do you not know this, guys? I think they were talking about history or, like, doing that. They were all young college students flexing their intellectual muscles. And I probably just fucking rolled my eyes between a bite of fucking ravioli. It was, all right, fuckers, gather around. This is how it is. So it was like that. They listened to me. I didn't, I'm not, I didn't go on a tirade, but like, I just started to behave beautifully and desperately. Out of, like, some release valve was like, psh, psychologically. And what would come out of it would always be something like surprisingly elegant, and it would just make people equally fascinated and terrified by me. I don't know. I didn't get invited to any parties, but people always came to me if they wanted to know how to do something, or their opinion. If they wanted validation for something personal and subjective, I was there. Anyway, so that was Trader Joe's. I did that for 9 months, and I saved enough money with a motivation to, like, get the fuck out. I didn't like doing the swing shift. It fucked my sleep schedule. Or, I don't know. I ran into a friend from Santa Cruz whose father and my father are like old friends or acquaintances, So this was like a person I actually trusted. This is a person I would listen to. And he's kind of a free spirit who was doing the Uber thing here in the city, right? And he gave me a ride home, and he was like, hey, you need to do what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. You should do this too. And I was like, beep, I'm going to do that too. He gave me his projections, his overhead, and and I fucking jumped right into that. I leased a car, rented a car, whatever you want to call it, an electric vehicle. It was super expensive. I liked it. I liked Lyft. It was great. The problem was there were no, again, like with the Scoot, I didn't see this coming. Charging stations were like saturated beyond. So you're like queuing up to wait to charge. And beyond that, there's like tension. Do you know what I mean? For charging spaces among scrappy you have no fucking clue. You have no clue what that shit is like, right? People are so rude. People are so ruthless. It's super sad. It, like, even poor people are fucking ruthless. So that cuts into your bottom line. You can only drive so far, and you can only drive so often. Although the range is pretty good, was pretty good. It just wasn't industrial strength good. I didn't think it would be a problem, but it was. It cut into my bottom line. And this is where things start to get weird. I'm going to tread pretty gently here. Not because I'm afraid. But the way I tell this story will determine how it unfolds in reality to this day. And I want to tell it in a way that benefits everyone maximally, or benefits those who ought to benefit, while not benefiting those who ought not benefit. That's, well, that's how any gift or testament would be. I think it's like 2019 now, so I'm a lifty via the path I've described, and I'm still trying to cope. So I began to. This is where things get weird. You want to know why I'm here? Listen the fuck up. Here it is. I began to read about psychology to try and like understand myself and feel better. And I began to psychoanalyze myself with journals like these on my phone. Right? I am here. All of this happened because I began to psychoanalyze myself in private for my exclusive benefit on my private phone. It should be obvious that these journals turned out to not be nearly as private as I expected they would be. People began to show up in my life, in my car, who would quote poetic turns of phrase that I had uttered in the journal, to myself, to me, thereby saying, I know you. I heard what you said. I'm in your life for this moment, or I'm able to be in your life. And then they would go by. This is how I felt. I wasn't angry. I wasn't afraid. I was like, what? Really? Right. Do you want to hear more of this story? Because this is basically where the story starts. But your question is, who am I really? Boring person who had a boring life, doing boring shit, trying to like make a good way. So I just capsulized my life until age 35, and now we're up from age 35 to like 37, 38, I forget, 2 years ago, something like that. I was a Lyft driver, and I started to psychoanalyze myself on my phone because I felt like shit. I couldn't afford food, and I sure as fuck couldn't afford healthcare or therapy, which I still can't. My journals were observed. I wondered why. What did it mean? And I could think of nothing else.